Yeah, this is a good news for asylum seekers, refugees that are coming in from the States. You won't be turned back. This is courtesy of the news. This is courtesy of the court ruling that has just been proclaimed by a court in Canada that people that are filing refugee asylum in Canada would not be turned back. So you want to hang on tight, stay tuned. I'll be dissecting, I'll be telling you much about the Safe Third Country Agreement. Hang on tight. Okay, welcome to my YouTube channel. I still remember my humble self, MC Bernardino. This is Canada Reality, where I dish out content for those that are in Canada and those that are planning on migrating to Canada. So if peradventure you stumble on this channel for the first time, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. There's a notification bell beside it. Click on it so that anytime I drop a video, you'll be among the first to get it. And if you enjoy this video, please don't hesitate to hit on the likes button. If you have any question, anything that you're not clear about, drop a comment in the comment section below. I will get back to you as soon as possible. And if you feel that you want to share this, there's somebody that you actually can share this video with, feel free to share this content with anybody that you feel will be of benefit to. All right, let's the game begin. Welcome back. All right, for you viewers that actually don't know what the asylum is, refugee, what it's all about, I will play in a very short video for you to lay the premise so that you can better understand what asylum seekers, refugee, what it's all about. So hang on tight and please watch this video.
Getting to Roxham is as easy as booking a flight to New York City, then taking a bus to the city of Plattsburgh near the Canada-U.S. border, then getting a taxi to the border, where asylum seekers cross over and are immediately arrested.
But you are under arrest for illegal entry into Canada now. Do you understand? A little bit at least. No, they don't.
Although we weren't able to speak with this family about where they're from or why they're crossing, this same scenario plays out every day here at Roxham. U.S. Customs and Border Patrol told us a lot of these people crossing into Canada haven't been in the U.S. for that long. They're coming in on tourist visas and heading straight for places like Roxham. Interceptions by the RCMP at crossings like Roxham have skyrocketed in the past couple years. More than 20,000 people were arrested in 2017 alone. That trend has continued in 2018, with almost 10,000 interceptions already in the first 5 months. The reasons these people flee their home countries vary from person to person. Some are trying to escape conflict, tearing their homes apart. Others fear persecution at home because of their religion or sexual orientation. And as the U.S. narrows its criteria for who qualifies as a refugee or who can claim asylum, people are increasingly looking toward its northern neighbor for shelter. But there's one thing still standing in their way: the Safe Third Country Agreement.
We have two major objections to it. One is that Canada receives very few refugees and that it is wrong for us to be trying to reduce still further the numbers of people who can get to Canada to make a refugee claim. But the second reason is that the U.S. is not safe for all refugees.
This is Janet Dench, Executive Director of the Canadian Council for Refugees. She, along with the Canadian Council of Churches and Amnesty International, are suing the Canadian government to get rid of the Safe Third Country Agreement. The agreement, inked in 2004 between the U.S. and Canada, essentially means that if you land in the U.S. and want to claim asylum in Canada, or vice versa, you can't. You can only claim asylum in the first country that you land in.
We are arguing, of course, that the government, the court must conclude that it is putting refugees' lives at risk if we insist on sending them back to the United States.
But the Safe Third Country Agreement has a loophole. If someone comes to the U.S. and crosses into Canada illegally and then gets arrested, then Canada has to process their asylum claim. It's part of the reason so many people cross at places like Roxham Road. And for the people living nearby, this has had a big impact.
Okay, so I haven't seen that video, so it has laid the premise for you, so I can actually build on that. So asylum seekers are those that are actually coming to Canada, telling Canada government that where their home country, where they are coming from, they are not safe there, either because of their religion or because of their sexuality or because of violence, whatever. As a result of that, they don't feel safe, and as a result of that, they decide to file asylum, seek refuge in Canada. So that's what it's all about. So ever since, that has been going on years immemorial, but there has been a very big insurgence since the inception of Donald Trump in the United States. People have been coming into Canada from the U.S., filing asylum, seeking refuge in Canada. Why is that? Because U.S. people don't really feel safe in the U.S. anymore. So because filing asylum in the U.S., I mean, in most cases you get rejected. I mean, so people don't see any glimpse of hope filing asylum in the U.S. Rather, they will prefer to come into Canada, and that's why places like Roxham Road and so many other places have seen a greater insurgence in people migrating, coming into Canada, crossing the border illegally just to come and file refugee, just to come and file asylum in Canada. All right, so what does this imply? So there's what is called the Safe Third Country Agreement. I mean, that was signed sometimes December 2004. So it's an agreement between the US and Canada. And what does that agreement say? The agreement simply connotes that for an asylum seeker or a refugee claimant, anywhere you land first, either in the United States or Canada, you have to file asylum there. I mean, Canada or US as a refugee, once you come into Canada, if Canada is the first country you landed or US is the first country, you need to file asylum there. So that simply means that if you land in the US as a refugee claimant and you file asylum in the US, you cannot come into Canada to file asylum again. So if you are rejected in the US and you now feel you want to come into Canada through the official border, you will be sent back to the US.
Refugees cannot apply for asylum in Canada if they are already in the US. Many refugees are crossing the border illegally, risking life and limb because they have no other option.
Canada and the United States signed the Safe Third Country Agreement in late 2002. It came into effect in 2004. The pact was part of a parcel of border security agreements signed between the two countries in the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks. Most people agree this was something Canada asked for. The agreement applies both ways, but the net effect, or at least the net goal, has always been to limit the number of people entering Canada from the United States who can apply for refugee status. The idea is that if you're fleeing persecution or war, you should ask for asylum in the first safe country you arrive in. What that means is that most people who try to cross into Canada from the US cannot seek asylum here. The rules say they should do it in the United States first. The pact doesn't apply to people with close family members already in Canada, or to people with valid Canadian travel documents. It doesn't apply to unaccompanied minors, or to most people facing the death penalty in the United States or any other country. It has also never applied to the entire Canada-U.S. border. That's the exception that has been making news for the last year and a half. People call it a loophole, but that's not totally accurate. This has always been the way the agreement was designed to work. If you make a refugee claim at an official border crossing, like the Peace Arch Bridge outside Vancouver, Canada can turn you back, as long as you don't qualify for one of the exceptions.
Let me repeat that again. A refugee comes into the US maybe as a visitor or on a visitor's visa, and when he or she gets to the US, he or she files asylum and was rejected, and as a result of that, he decides to come into Canada through the official border to come and file asylum. You will be sent back to the state. And what happens to you if you're sent back to the state? If you are sent back to the state, there's a possibility that you will be in prison in the state, and at the end of the day, you might eventually be deported back to your home country. And that is why some bodies in the US, like the Amnesty International, Canada Refugee Board, they feel that they actually sue Canadian government because of that the Canada government should not send people back to the US when they come in to file asylum through the official border in Canada. They should not be sent back to the US, because when they are eventually sent back, they are in prison and they are deported back to their country, and that is not what Canada stands for. That is not fair to human rights. So a promulgation was made sometimes last week, and the court says that Canada government should not send people back when they come into Canada through the official border and they file asylum or refugee. They should not be sent back to the US, and that is the new rule that I brought for you today. And also, what does this connote? This simply also implies another clause that was added to it is that when the court made the promulgation, they gave Canada government 6 months, that is till sometimes ending of January, 22nd of January if I'm not mistaken, to appeal this decision. So that means Canada government from now till January, ending of January, they can actually appeal this decision that was made by the court. So if Canada wants, they can actually appeal it and say, no, we'll still have to send them back, or they can actually leave it as the way it is. But the court has actually given Canada government 6 months to actually decide on what they want to do on that. Either they want to appeal or they want to leave it like that. So if nothing is done by Canada government, that means that by ending of January 22nd to be precise, 2021, the rule will be in place and Canada will not be able to send people that file asylum at the official border. They will not be able to send them back to the US, and that's good news for refugee claimants. Alright viewers, I hope you actually enjoyed the video that I brought for you today. If you enjoyed it, please smash on the like button. If you feel there's anybody that you feel will enjoy this video, share this content with them. Also, if you feel you have any question, any further clarification you need on this news that I brought for you today on the safe third country agreement and the implication for refugee and asylum claimants in Canada, drop a question in the comment section below. I will revert back as soon as possible. Alright, so let's talk about the loopholes in the STCA agreement.
Exceptions. If you cross into Canada anywhere else along the US border, Canada is still obliged to process your claim. Why? Well, part of it is logistical. Canada's southern border is huge and almost entirely undefended. You can't physically stop everyone from walking over if that's what they really want to do. And once people are in Canada, you can't just throw them out again, not without some kind of legal process. People have always crossed into Canada from the US and vice versa between the official crossings, but rarely have they done so in massive numbers. That changed after Donald Trump was elected president. Since then, thousands of people have walked into Canada, most of them at one dead-end street in New York State, and asked for asylum. That's led to calls from all sides of the political spectrum to modify or even scrap the Safe Third Country Agreement entirely.
Will this government finally denounce Trump's immigration policies, and will they take any new actions to address the impacts on Canada?
Some people argue that the United States is no longer a safe country, and that it's morally untenable for Canada to keep turning asylum seekers away. Other people argue that for our own security and the integrity of our immigration system, we should apply the agreement across the entire border. Stuck in the middle of this are Justin Trudeau and the Liberals. They've so far tried to carve out a middle path between these two polarities. It's not entirely clear, though, how much longer they can keep doing that. They may be forced at some point in the next year or two to decide, scrap the agreement or fight to have it expanded.
So for those of you who don't know, I just told you that based on the agreement with US and Canada on the safe third party country agreement, if you file asylum, any country that a refugee or an asylum seeker comes in first, either US or Canada, you have to file asylum there. If you don't do it, if you land in US and you file asylum, or you didn't file asylum and you decide to come into Canada thereafter, Canada will reject you, will return you back. And that was why I said the court just upturned that decision and gave Canada government till January to appeal it, or it will remain in favor of the refugee claimants. All right, so let's talk about the loopholes in this agreement. So the loophole is that I told you that officially, if you come into Canada, if you file asylum or refugee claim at the official border of Canada, you will be turned back because of the safe third party agreement. But in the unofficial border, that is where the loophole is. If you file asylum there, you will not be returned back. Why? Is because the reason is because Canada has the largest unguided border with US. I mean, all around the world, there's no other country that shares unguided border like US and Canada. So that gives people from the US the opportunity to always come in through this unofficial border and file asylum. So when they come in through the unofficial border and file asylum in Canada, rather, instead of rejecting them back, they arrest them and they hear their proceeding, what they want to say, or they want to file asylum, and from there they give them opportunity to file asylum or they become a refugee in Canada. That is the loophole. So simply saying that if you go through the official border, you'll be returned back to the state. But if you come in through the unofficial border, you will be welcome into Canada. You'll be arrested, but at the same time, you'll be given the opportunity to file asylum and become a refugee in Canada. So that is a loophole, and that's what so many people are complaining about, and so many Congress people, they are complaining about that. Justin Trudeau should actually look into this loophole and try as much as possible to rectify it. I know the NDP and the Conservative, they have been on the the Liberal Party that they should actually look into that, because it is a loophole. Why will he send people that are coming through the official border back, but those that are coming through the unofficial border, you give them asylum and they eventually become a refugee in Canada? So that is a loophole that I think that Justin Trudeau and his government will actually be looking at, and they might want to do something about it. Alright viewers, I hope you actually enjoyed the video that I brought for you today on the safe third country agreement between US and Canada, and the implication of that and how it affects those that are seeking asylum. And also I also told you the news about the court ruling that anybody that files asylum should not be returned back to the US because they eventually get imprisoned or eventually get deported. Canada should not do that. We don't know what the Canada government will be doing, whether they will be appealing it or they will just leave it the way it is. We have to wait for 6 months to eventually know what Canada government will be doing. If you have any concern, any question, drop it in the comment section below. What do you think about the safe third country agreement? What do you think about it? Do you think it's fair for US government to always imprison people that they get deported back from Canada? What do you think about it? Drop your comment in the comment section below. Please don't ask me question about how can I file asylum. I don't know about that. I don't encourage people to file asylum. It is only when you have a genuine case and you feel that you are actually undergoing violence, religion, brutality, or whatever. That's only, and so many other reasons. You can actually go to the website. I will be linking it in the video description below so that you can actually know if you qualify to file asylum. I'm not encouraging it, and this video is not actually meant to encourage people to file asylum, but I'm just dishing out content based on the story that we had from Canada immigration and Canada government. So if you have any question, drop it in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, smash on the likes button. Till I come back to you again with another very exciting news on Canada immigration and how it can benefit you. Please don't forget that COVID-19 is real. Stay safe and keep your family safe. And don't forget, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you.